My wife cheated on me and then asked for an open marriage so she could keep seeing her affair partner. I pretended to go along with it for months, quietly gathering evidence of her ongoing infidelity. Hi everyone, I'd like to be as anonymous as possible, so I'm using a throwaway. My name isn't really Eric, but that's what I'll go by here. I'm a 36-year-old man. My wife, let's call her Emily, is 34. We've been married for 11 years, together for 13, and we have 2 children. Our daughter Zoe, who just turned 9, and our son Lucas, who is 7. I'm writing this because the last 2 days have been chaos I can barely comprehend. I'm hoping that sharing my story here among strangers might bring some order or just help me process everything that's happened. Professionally, I've spent over a decade as a senior project manager for a big commercial construction company. The job is tough and demanding, with lots of high-stakes projects, tight deadlines, and unexpected problems. That means long shifts. 10 to 13 hours isn't rare, and especially during crunch periods. Those hours stretch even longer. I often work at least Saturday mornings too. It pays well, lets us live comfortably, and means Emily never had to worry about her own income. Before the kids, Emily did freelance graphic design. She really was talented, and she kept a portfolio of regular clients. But when Zoe was born, we sat down and had long talks about what we wanted for our family. Emily decided she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, at least until the kids were both school age. I supported her 100%. My salary covered us, and I also liked the idea that one of us would always be there for the kids. After Zoe's arrival, Emily gradually stopped taking on new design work. 6 months in, she fully transitioned to homemaking. Sometimes she'd do a design for a friend or community group, but it was more a hobby than business. Our family routine seemed stable. I handled stressful work. She ran the home and was there for the kids. When I was home, I did my best to be all in. Bath times, reading, weekends at the park, when work didn't get in the way. But something began to change about 10 months ago. At first, it was subtle. Emily started to talk about feeling isolated and wanting more of a social life. Her friend Rachel, who she'd known since university, started organizing regular girls' nights. In the beginning, it was dinner or a movie every month or so. I had no problem with it and took care of the kids when she went out. Gradually, girls' night became twice a month, then every Friday. Over the past 3 months, it was nearly every Friday and occasionally a Saturday afternoon or evening too. She stopped mentioning Rachel. Instead, she'd talk about people whose names I didn't know. At home, her behavior changed, but so slowly it was easy to ignore. Glued to her phone, quickly smiling at messages, or firing off replies she'd brush off as just the group chat if I asked. She'd spend more time and money on new outfits, hair, makeup, all for these nights out. I told myself it was healthy for her. The first hard red flag was 2 months ago. She put a complicated new password on her phone. We'd never had anything to hide from each other, and for years, our phones were just tools shared out of convenience. She said the operating system forced her to upgrade security. It seemed off, but she easily explained it away. Then, about 3 weeks back, I was checking our joint account while submitting some work expense claims. I noticed unfamiliar charges, 4 times in 6 weeks, all on Friday or Saturday, at a bar called Sapphire Room, which she'd never mentioned, certainly not somewhere Rachel would hang out. Each charge was coupled with Uber rides to and from the same address, in a trendy but inconveniently located neighborhood, always later at night. The amounts weren't huge, but the pattern was totally different from her norm. I took note of it, uneasy, but was in the middle of a make-or-break work project, and told myself to wait until things calmed down. Things came to a head 2 nights ago. It was a Friday, and Emily was out for another girls' night. She got home around 3 a.m. I was pretending to sleep, but honestly hadn't slept at all, up worrying. She was obviously tipsy, quietly humming as she got ready for bed. She left her phone on her nightstand, the screen up. A few minutes later, a notification came in. I looked over. The preview read, "From Peter A. Tonight was amazing. I haven't stopped thinking about you." I didn't yell or confront her. I asked calmly, "Emily, who is Peter A.?" She flinched, noticeably startled, and turned pale. Her first reaction was denial. "Peter? Oh, he's just a friend of Paige's, from the group. Sometimes he joins us." I replied, "I saw the message. Tonight was amazing. I haven't stopped thinking about you." That doesn't sound like just a friend. At that, the denial collapsed. She sat on the edge of the bed and broke down. Sobbing, between the tears and apologies, she admitted she'd been seeing Peter on the side for about 4 months. She met him at the Sapphire Room, one of those girls' nights where, as it turned out, no girls but her showed up. Some of her later girls' nights were spent only with him. She told me she'd been feeling lonely, invisible, and unappreciated because of my long work hours. Peter made her feel alive and seen. She claimed it was a gigantic mistake, said she loved me and didn't want to tear apart our family or ruin our marriage. I asked some questions about the timeline, but mostly I listened in shock. Our kids were fast asleep in their rooms, clueless that their world was about to change. We spent that night in separate rooms. Neither of us slept. In the morning, the apologies kept coming, but then Emily upped the stakes. Her solution was to suggest we try an open marriage. Her voice was trembling, but she seemed hopeful, even excited about the idea. She said she cared for Peter, but also didn't want to lose our family or me. An open marriage, she argued, would let her keep seeing him honestly, and I'd be free to explore as well. She tried to pitch it as a modern, enlightened compromise, a smart way to avoid a messy divorce. I was speechless. It felt like she was asking for permission to build her affair into the fabric of our lives. I told her I needed time. We both sat in silence. I retreated to my home office, kids downstairs watching cartoons, Emily moving around the kitchen like it was any other Saturday. There was an endless, heavy pressure in the air. I went over and over in my mind. What next? If I just said no, would she walk out immediately? How would I manage as a single dad with a job like mine? I just didn't know. Has anyone been put in a spot like this? Dealing with an affair, a confession, and then a proposal to embed the other man into our marriage. Edit, Update 1. It's been 3 weeks since I first posted here, and the response has been overwhelming. Hundreds of people left advice, some blunt, some gentle, all helpful in their own ways, and I'm really grateful. It made me realize that while my story felt unique and isolating, the underlying issues weren't rare at all. To answer some recurring questions, was Emily unhappy before this? She mentioned feeling in a rut and wanted more social time, but never said she was deeply lonely or that our marriage was in danger. I asked occasionally if we were okay, and she'd say she was tired or worn out from the kids. Looking back, maybe those were signals I missed, but she never asked for therapy or a major change. Was her apology sincere? That's something I've wrestled with. To me, her tears seemed real at first, but the fact that she segued so quickly from the apology to proposing an open marriage colored the sincerity in hindsight. It felt less like true regret, more like regret at being caught, then pivoting to try to keep both men in her life. What was my next move? The nearly universal advice, clearest to me after reading all the comments, was to see a lawyer immediately and document everything. I acted quickly. Within 2 days, I found a reputable family law attorney. That 1-hour consultation was the most empowering thing I've done in ages. The lawyer explained my options, the legal landscape, what counted as evidence, and how divorce, custody, and finances might play out. She told me to document absolutely everything. Emily's patterns, my parenting, spending, texts, childcare, behavior around the kids, and absolutely any details around the affair or open marriage idea. She also explained that an open marriage arrangement, even if agreed, didn't erase the impact of prior cheating. Documenting everything would help protect my interests, and most importantly, the kids. After the meeting and lots of late-night thinking, I knew what I had to do. I couldn't actually accept the open marriage, not after the betrayal and the way it was being presented. But confronting her or refusing outright would put everything at risk and might push her into hiding things, or worse, trigger an immediate exit and disruption for the kids before I was ready. So I invented a strategy, and my lawyer saw the logic in it. 1. I told Emily I was willing to consider her idea. I said it was radical, and I needed time to read, process, and maybe get counseling before making any decisions. As a prerequisite, I said I'd want details about her relationship with Peter, her needs, and her vision for the future. I brought up couples therapy, knowing it would buy time while I got my ducks in a row. 2. At my lawyer's urging, I hired a licensed private investigator. I hated that it came to this, but I had to know exactly what she was up to. The PI followed her discreetly, documenting her meetups with Peter, how often she was away, and most importantly, any times when childcare was neglected for her affairs, or as marital funds were being misused. They've been working for about 2 weeks now, and yes, it's expensive, but it's money well spent. 3. I'm now a meticulous note-taker. I started a password-protected digital journal. Every day, I track Emily's comings and goings, reasons she gives, moods, the amount of attention she pays the children, significant conversations, and every message related to Peter or her plans. I also record everything I do with the kids. I've also overhauled my own schedule to step into the primary caregiver role. This was the hardest shift. I had to come clean with my direct supervisor and HR about needing set hours and no overnight travel. I didn't go into details, but explained I had to be the stable parent for my children. They were surprisingly understanding, and it's allowed me to be home the way the kids need right now. I now run the morning routine: breakfast, getting the kids ready, drop-offs, and pickups. I'm at every parent-teacher meeting, every doctor's appointment, and handle dinner, homework, bedtime. Basically, I'm the single parent in practice. 4. My lawyer said to get control of the finances too. I gathered 5 years' worth of statements, bank accounts, investments, credit cards, tax returns, and property paperwork. I spoke with a financial advisor to map out different divorce outcomes and opened a separate bank account for my income moving forward. I still pay all household bills from the joint account, but keep a very close eye on it for weird activity. Since my initial "I'll consider it" response, Emily's mood has been odd. It's as if a weight's been lifted. She's more open than ever about seeing Peter. She'll remark, "Peter and I are trying that new taco place Friday," or "Peter had a lousy day at the office." Hearing his name spoken openly is surreal. The transparency I asked for has amounted to little more than her telling me her plans and expecting approval. The PI's early reports already show what I suspected: regular daytime and evening meetings with Peter, often in the neighborhood where he lives, including evidence of Emily entering and leaving his apartment. Worryingly, the PI documented 2 childcare neglect incidents in just the last week. Once she hired a last-minute sitter so she could go out with Peter during the school run, and another evening she told me she was running an errand but met Peter instead. Both are now carefully noted with times and details. The one upside has been my renewed connection to Zoe and Lucas. They love that I'm around so much. Zoe especially notices she's bright, picked up right away that Emily's out a lot more. "Daddy, you pick us up now. I like that." I just reassure her. I never speak ill of her mother. It's exhausting. I work, parent, and live with this act on top of the emotional havoc of the situation. Sleep is rare. At home, the atmosphere is weird. We're roommates with kids and a bunch of unspoken stuff between us. Emily's relatively cheerful, freed, I guess, now that she thinks she has permission. She chats about groceries, plans, but avoids all serious talk except to hint that modern families make all sorts of arrangements work. My lawyer is happy with the process so far. She says the main thing is showing I'm now the stable and primary parent and logging evidence of Emily's ongoing neglect, infidelity, and spending. This will be huge if custody or alimony become contested. How long can I keep up the act? I don't know. For now, this is my plan. Protect the kids, build a record, and make sure whatever happens next is on terms that reflect reality, not some fantasy of open marriage built off my misery. I'll update again if things change significantly. Update 2. Final update. 14 months have passed since I first posted here, which feels like a different life, and just over 13 months since my previous update. We've reached a legal resolution, and I want to close this chapter by sharing the outcome for myself and everyone who supported me here. The next 3 months after my last post were by far the hardest. I kept up the pretense of considering the open marriage, living under Emily's roof while she grew even bolder with Peter. The PI's portfolio grew thick with evidence: her visits to Peter's apartment, daytime and late-night outings, and even a 2-day wellness retreat, which turned out, as the investigator confirmed, to be a romantic trip to a nearby resort town with Peter, not the friend she claimed. She openly delegated more and more childcare. Sometimes she'd simply not show up for school events or doctor appointments. Other times she'd hand the kids off to a sitter at the last minute. A particularly gutting example: Zoe starred in her school play, an event we'd planned for months. 2 days before, Emily claimed she couldn't make it due to urgent freelance work. The PI confirmed she ate dinner with Peter instead. I logged the absence and Zoe's quiet disappointment. Those incidents piled up, as did my documentation. The emotional toll was crushing. I had to keep calm and steady, for the kids, for Emily, and for my own sake, all while secretly receiving daily PI briefings and tracking my own heartbreak. After 5 months, and with a mountain of evidence, my lawyer and I filed for divorce. We had detailed logs, photographs and video from the PI, bank statements showing marital funds used for gifts and outings with Peter, and my exhaustive records of who was the present parent. We planned the logistics carefully. I found a new house for me and the kids in the same school district to minimize disruption. On the day I filed, while Emily was at a supposed yoga workshop, actually another afternoon with Peter, according to the PI, I moved the kids and our essentials to the new place. She was formally served late that evening by the process server, walking into a nearly emptied house. From that point on, I enforced a strict no direct contact policy. All communication was exclusively through attorneys or a court-approved co-parenting app limited to the children's needs. Emily's initial response, as relayed through her lawyer, was shock and wild anger. She apparently believed I was gradually accepting her open marriage dream, and learning that I'd gathered evidence to support a case for full custody and fair financial terms completely blew up the image she built for herself. We had several contested hearings. Emily, through counsel, insisted on joint custody, major spousal support claiming long absence from work, and a bigger asset division. Her side tried to get all PI evidence thrown out as an invasion of privacy and painted me as vengeful. The judge saw it differently. Our evidence was overwhelming. The PI's reports and testimony included all the receipts and time-stamped photos. My daily records, matched against school and doctor logs, proved my consistent day-to-day role. We showed clearly that Emily prioritized her new relationship over the kids and consistently neglected responsibilities as a mother. We supplied a record of her using marital cash and gifts towards Peter. The proceedings had tense moments, especially during cross-examination, but facts were facts. Mediation failed quickly. Emily refused to budge on her demands. The final ruling, which came about 3 months ago, covered everything. 1. I was granted sole legal and primary physical custody of Zoe and Lucas. The judge sharply contrasted my prolonged stability and care with Emily's documented disregard and self-interest. 2. Emily was given a slow, step-up visitation schedule, starting with supervised visits on alternate weekends and a limited midweek evening, paid for at her expense. After 3 months of compliance, the supervision was lifted. Exchanges happen at a neutral public place or are brokered by a trusted third party, my sister or close friend. 3. She asked for spousal support equal to 40% of my after-tax income for 10 years. Her lawyer said that was fair because she'd been a homemaker. Mine pointed out her skills, age, the relatively short period she'd been truly focused on full-time parenting, and, importantly, her choices. She got transitional alimony for just 18 months, at a fraction, maybe 15% of what she asked for. The judge's ruling directly cited her neglect and infidelity as reasons. 4. The marital assets were split according to state guidelines, but the judge knocked back Emily's share slightly to compensate for funds she spent on gifts, trips, and outings with Peter. It wasn't a life-changing sum, but it marked the court's acknowledgement of her misuse of joint finances. The house was sold. I used my share for the down payment on our new place for Zoe, Lucas, and me. According to our co-parenting app and comments from mutual acquaintances, Emily moved in with Peter when the house sold. They rent an apartment. Her finances are reportedly very different now. The limited alimony and whatever Peter makes, combined with sporadic freelance work, don't add up to the lifestyle she enjoyed for years. What was once thrilling is now ordinary, strained by bills, the reality of combining lives, and the fallout of her choices. She sees Zoe and Lucas as per the court order. Handovers are polite but awkward. The kids are civil but firmly attached to me as their main parent. As for us, life is smaller now, but also happier and more peaceful. Our little house feels like home. My career took a small hit. I took a new position with regular hours and less travel. We're not wealthy, but stable, and the kids are doing well at school and have a good social circle. The stress of divorce was hard on them, but their resilience amazes me. Our relationship is stronger than ever before. This is my final word on the matter. I couldn't have gotten here without everyone's feedback and support. My focus now is the future, with Zoe and Lucas, building something new for us from here on out. This story ends right here. This story highlights how complex, stressful, and drawn-out high-conflict divorces can be, especially when children are involved, and one partner has deep-seated denial about the impact of their own actions. It also shows the immense value of calm planning and keeping your children's best interests front and center, no matter what. I've got a question for you. If you found yourself in this position, would you have chosen to confront things head-on or play the long game as I did? What do you think is the most important thing to prioritize when your family is at stake? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.